Right now, you're being programmed, not by some evil mastermind in a hidden control room, not by a supercomputer feeding signals into your brain, but by the endless flood of distractions, cheap entertainment, and mental junk food that surrounds you every second of the day. Your attention is being drained, your thoughts are being dulled, and your ability to focus, to think deeply, to feel real emotions, it's all being chipped away, little by little, without you even realizing it. And the scariest part? It doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up one morning and feel like a zombie. It creeps up on you. It disguises itself as convenience, as entertainment, as comfort. It makes you laugh, keeps you entertained, fills the silence so you never have to be alone with your thoughts. And before you know it, you've lost something you didn't even know you needed. You ever feel like your brain is just slow? Like focusing on one thing for more than a few minutes feels impossible? Like your thoughts don't connect the way they used to? That's not just in your head. Well, actually, it is, but not in the way you think. Your brain is being hijacked, not by a chip, not by a machine, but by something far more dangerous, a world designed to keep you distracted. Every social media app, every viral video, every notification, it's all part of a system engineered to keep you clicking, scrolling, refreshing, never stopping long enough to think about what's happening to you. The more distracted you are, the less you question. The more entertained you are, the less you notice that you're not actually happy. The more your brain gets used to quick hits of dopamine, the harder it becomes to sit still, to read a book, to have a deep conversation, to do anything that requires real effort. And here's where it gets dark, because if you don't take control of your own mind, someone else will.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
But this isn't just about social media. It's about something much bigger. It's about how modern life has turned your brain against you. It's about how everything around you is pushing you toward the easiest, most effortless, most passive existence possible. Don't cook, order food. Don't read, watch a 5-second summary. Don't think, let the algorithm decide what's next. It's like a slow-motion lobotomy, and the worst part is, you don't even notice it happening. You just wake up one day and realize you haven't had an original thought in weeks. You can't sit alone in a room without grabbing your phone. You can't focus on anything that doesn't give you instant gratification. You can't even remember what it felt like to be fully present in your own life. And maybe you think this is just how things are now, that this is normal. But what if I told you it's not? What if I told you that you weren't meant to live like this? What if I told you that brain rot isn't inevitable, that you can fight back, that you can take back control, that you can sharpen your mind instead of letting it turn to mush? But before we get there, let's ask the real question: who benefits from keeping you numb? Think about it. Who benefits when your attention span is too short to read a book, but just long enough to scroll through ads? Who wins when your mind is too foggy to think deeply but sharp enough to keep clicking? Who gets richer when you trade curiosity for passivity, ambition for distraction, real experiences for artificial ones? This isn't just a coincidence. The system wasn't built to make you stronger, smarter, or more independent. It was built to keep you consuming. Every moment you spend staring at a screen, every second you feel the itch to check your phone, every time you refresh a feed without even knowing what you're looking for, that's money in someone else's pocket. You're not the customer, you're the product. And the longer you stay hooked, the more valuable you are. They don't need to control you with force when they can do it with convenience. They don't need to tell you what to think when they can make thinking so exhausting that you stop doing it on your own. It's genius, really. A world where people willingly distract themselves to death. A world where mental weakness isn't just tolerated, it's encouraged. You're fed a diet of fast, easy, low-effort content because a strong, focused mind is bad for business. If you had the patience to read, to think, to truly learn, you wouldn't need to be spoon-fed opinions. If you had the discipline to sit with boredom, to resist the endless flood of entertainment, you wouldn't be so easy to manipulate. If you weren't so addicted to comfort, to convenience, to cheap dopamine, you'd be unstoppable. But instead, most people walk right into the trap, thinking they're making their own choices when really, they're following a script written for them by people who couldn't care less about their happiness. And the worst part, they don't even have to try that hard. Because distraction is easier than discipline. Numbing yourself is easier than facing reality. Living in a constant loop of stimulation is easier than sitting in silence with your own thoughts. People don't fight back because they don't even realize they're being controlled. They don't even realize that their attention, their time, their very ability to think clearly has been stolen from them, not all at once, but little by little, over years. They just wake up one day and realize they don't feel like themselves anymore. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they believe. They don't know how to exist without constant input. And that's exactly how the system wants it. But what happens when you decide to break free? What happens when you stop letting them win? What happens when you take your brain back before it's too late? Nobody's coming to save you. No one is going to step in and force you to think clearly, to break free from the cycle of distraction, to sharpen your mind instead of letting it rot. If anything, the world is designed to make sure you never even try. The system runs on your passivity, on your willingness to trade your focus for convenience, your curiosity for entertainment, your independence for comfort. It counts on the fact that you will always take the easy path, that you will always choose what feels good in the moment over what makes you stronger in the long run. And for most people, that's exactly what happens. Not because they're incapable, not because they're weak, but because they don't realize they're in a fight. They don't realize their mind is being hijacked. They don't realize they're handing over control of their thoughts, their time, their ability to truly live not in some grand dramatic moment, but through 1,000 tiny choices every single day. You have to wake up. You have to see it for what it is. This isn't just about cutting back on social media or putting your phone down for a few hours. This is about rewiring your brain, about rebuilding the ability to focus, to think deeply, to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. It's about taking back control of your attention before it's completely gone. And that means you have to fight. You have to resist the pull of cheap dopamine, the constant flood of mindless content, the endless cycle of consumption. You have to retrain yourself to focus on one thing at a time, to sit with boredom instead of drowning it out, to build the discipline to do hard things, even when every part of you wants to take the easy way out. And it's not going to be easy. Everything in your brain has been wired to crave distraction, to avoid effort, to chase quick rewards. The first time you sit down to read a book instead of scrolling, your brain is going to rebel. The first time you force yourself to sit in silence, to be alone with your own thoughts, it's going to feel unbearable. The first time you try to work deeply without checking your phone, without switching to another tab, without giving in to the itch to escape, it's going to feel impossible. But it's not impossible. It's just hard. And that's the point. Everything you want the ability to think clearly, to focus deeply, to control your own mind instead of letting the world control it for you exists on the other side of difficulty. Every time you resist the urge to numb yourself, you take back a little bit of power. Every time you choose real effort over easy distraction, you get stronger. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you prove to yourself that you are not just another mindless consumer, another person being dragged along by a system that doesn't care about you. And the more you fight, the more you win. At first, it's going to feel like swimming against a current, like everything in your brain is pulling you back toward distraction, toward consumption, toward the habits that have kept you numb. But then something shifts. You start noticing that your thoughts feel clearer, that your focus lasts longer, that you can sit with yourself without immediately reaching for something to fill the silence. That the things that used to control you, the endless scrolling, the constant notifications, the need to be entertained every second of the day start to lose their grip. And that's when you realize just how much of your life you've been missing. Most people will never get here. Most people will stay stuck in the loop forever, convinced that this is just how life is now, that brain rot is inevitable, that focus and depth and real thought are things of the past. But that's a lie. The human mind was never meant to be this weak. It was never meant to be this distracted, this addicted, this numb. It was meant to build, to create, to solve problems, to seek truth, to wrestle with big ideas, to grow stronger through effort and challenge. And the only reason it doesn't anymore is because people have been tricked into thinking that weakness is normal. But normal isn't the same as right. And if you refuse to wake up, if you refuse to fight back, if you refuse to take control of your own mind, then someone else will. So what do? You take back your time, minute by minute. You stop feeding the machine that profits off your distraction. You create more than you consume. You train your brain like you would train your body by pushing it, by forcing it to do things that are hard, by refusing to take the easy way out. You read long books that challenge you. You spend time in silence instead of filling every gap with noise. You think deeply about things instead of letting algorithms do it for you. You build something with your own hands, something that requires patience and focus and effort. You stop being passive. You stop waiting for someone to fix it for you. You stop being the kind of person who can be controlled, manipulated, distracted into wasting their own life. And yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to take time. You're going to slip. You're going to fail. You're going to feel like giving up. But what's the alternative? Spending the rest of your life half awake, moving through the world in a fog, never thinking deeply, never creating anything real, never truly living. No, that's not an option. Not for you. Not anymore. The truth is, most people will never break free. Most people will never even try. They will go on distracting themselves to death, telling themselves it's fine, that this is just life now, that there's nothing they can do about it. They will keep scrolling, keep numbing, keep consuming, never realizing what they've lost. But not you, because you see it now. And now that you see it, you can never unsee it. Now that you know what's been taken from you, you can never go back to pretending this is normal. Now that you understand what's at stake, you can never just sit back and let it happen. Because this isn't just about focus. This isn't just about social media. But this is about your life, your mind, your ability to think, to feel, to create, to truly exist as a fully conscious, fully alive human being instead of just another passive consumer in a system that was never designed for your benefit. And the choice is yours. Stay asleep or wake up. Keep letting your brain rot or take back control. keep living in a fog or fight your way back to clarity. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to force you. No one is going to save you from yourself. But if you can do this, if you can fight through the resistance, through the withdrawal, through the unbearable urge to take the easy way out, then you get something most people will never have. You get your mind back. You get your time back. You get your life back. And in the end, that's the only thing that ever really mattered. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. You know your mind has been hijacked. You know you've been running on autopilot, living in loops designed by people who don't care about your future, your growth, or your ability to think for yourself. And now that you see it, there's no going back. You can't pretend you don't know what's happening. You can't go back to the mindless scrolling, the numbing distractions, the endless flood of meaningless content without feeling it rot you from the inside. But seeing the problem is not the same as solving it. Awareness is just the first step. Now comes the hard part, because fixing your brain isn't as simple as deleting an app or taking a break from screens. The damage runs deeper than that. You have spent years training your brain to crave distraction, to avoid effort, to seek comfort at all costs. And now you have to undo that training, not just by stopping what's hurting you, but by replacing it with something better. Your mind was never meant to be fed a constant stream of novelty. It was meant to struggle. It was meant to focus on things that require time, effort, patience. It was meant to wrestle with problems, to get bored and sit with that boredom long enough to turn it into something useful. But when was the last time you let yourself be bored? Not just for a few seconds before grabbing your phone, not just between notifications, but truly bored. When was the last time you let your brain work through something without checking out the second it got difficult? The ability to sit in discomfort is the foundation of every great mind that has ever existed. Without it, you don't think, you just react. And that's exactly what the system wants. Because if you're always reacting, always chasing the next thing, always looking for something to fill the silence, you never stop to question anything. You never stop to ask where your time is going, where your thoughts are coming from, whether the life you're living is even one you chose. But the good news is, your brain isn't broken, it's just out of shape. And just like any muscle, it can be trained. Every time you resist the urge to scroll, to click, to check out, you are making it stronger. Every time you push yourself to focus a little longer, to read a little deeper, to think a little harder, you are building something most people don't even realize they've lost. And at first, it's going to feel impossible. You are going to feel restless. You are going to crave the distractions you've been feeding on for years. Your mind will fight you because it's been conditioned to seek easy dopamine, quick rewards, effortless stimulation. But you cannot let it win, because if you do, you will spend your entire life as a passive observer instead of an active participant. You will spend your days consuming instead of creating, reacting instead of thinking, existing instead of truly living. And when you reach the end, when you look back at the years that have slipped through your fingers, you will realize that brain rot wasn't just a small problem. It was the thing that stole your life. So how do you fix it? You start by doing the opposite of what the system has trained you to do. You stop filling every empty moment with noise. You stop giving your attention away for free. You stop feeding the addiction to distraction and start feeding your mind with things that require effort. Read books that make you think instead of scrolling through garbage designed to keep you numb. Have real conversations instead of sending half-hearted messages while watching another pointless video. Train yourself to sit in silence, to be alone with your thoughts, to build the kind of mind that isn't so fragile it falls apart the second it isn't being entertained. And when it gets hard, and it will get hard, you remind yourself that this is what it takes to be truly alive. Because real life isn't found in endless entertainment, it's found in depth, in struggle. In the moments when you push past the resistance and remember what it feels like to think, to focus, to feel something real. And once you get that back, once you reclaim your mind from the forces that have been trying to keep you weak, you will never want to go back. Because you will finally understand what they took from you, and you will never let them take it again.